Welcome to the Schiller Hamilton Law Firm podcast. Today I am joined by the legendary Dr. Reuben Orr, the great and powerful. Man, you're like a legend in Rock Hill, man. I guess maybe everywhere, but especially Rock Hill.
21 years this July.
21 years of practicing chiropractic medicine in Rock Hill. You've been doing it quite a while. Yeah. Did it kind of fly by?
Yeah, I mean, I would say
20 years.
Doesn't look like I was.
Did you do anything to celebrate your 20th anniversary?
Yeah, we fixed a lot of people that day.
That's awesome.
That's what we do.
Yeah, that's your favorite thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So what's interesting to me about your practice is what I don't see. I don't see Dr. Orr billboards everywhere. I don't even see Dr. Orr commercials. Until recently, I think there wasn't even a Dr. Orr website. You certainly don't have a Dr. Orr podcast. I don't know if there's a Dr. Orr Facebook page.
No.
But yet, every time I drive by your office, the parking lot is full, and there's a wait to get into your office. Your lobby's full, and you probably see more people in a day than most doctors see in a week. What do you attribute that to?
Results, Mr. Hamilton, results.
Results.
Mm-hmm.
So you attribute it to people getting better.
Or getting to the right place. Not everybody who comes in is in the right place, but we direct them to the right place. I think that's good faith.
So tell me about the typical patient that you're getting results for. What do you see on a regular day?
Well, I'll tell you recently, and I brought you the New York Times article, there's been a second pandemic of work from home injuries. A lot of patients, a lot of people have been sent home to work, and they don't exactly have the home office of their dreams, so they're improvising, and that's putting a lot of stress on their body. And we're seeing a big influx in that.
When you're talking about work from home injuries, you're not talking about people walking across their kitchen floor and falling. You mean what?
Work.
Explain it, like working from home.
Repetitive stress injury, trying to rig a desk up at the kitchen countertop, bar stools, coffee tables, things of that nature. They're still working and working lots of hours. They just are not at a traditional desk, chair, keyboard, monitor.
Why does that matter?
Posture. Very important. Sitting for long periods, as you know, as a very busy attorney, stresses the joints, stresses the muscles.
Yeah, I sit all day. I got a stand-up desk not too long ago that I can switch back and forth, and it goes up and down. And I noticed that makes a really big difference in how I feel. I don't obviously know what that means medically, but I can tell a difference in how I feel. But you're saying, so when someone's at work, they might have a desk chair. They may have a monitor that's at a better position. They have a more traditional desk. And when they go home and they're working, they might not have those things.
Right.
How important is it for someone to be aware of that as they move forward? What could happen if you're not aware of it?
I think it becomes pretty obvious pretty quickly. I mean, most of my patients I've seen have come in and they know exactly why they're there. They are trying to improvise at home, and it's just short term for a few weeks maybe, but this has turned out to be months and months of that, and the body's just doesn't handle that very well. It's just a lose-lose.
Yeah, so you're seeing people that are hunched over their laptop all day at their kitchen counter working, so their posture starts going. And so tell me, what would the ideal office setup look like then? If you're telling one of your patients, okay, what you're doing, it's not working. This laptop at your kitchen counter, that's not going to fly. How do you instruct them to fix that?
Well, you got to start with, what's feasible. I mean, what's actually, something that we can actually do. I mean, we know what a great setup would be, but if they can't do it, then there's no need to discuss that. You got to figure out what do they have, what can we do, what can we improve upon, and it's not going to be perfect, but anything that's an improvement will, minimize the stress a little bit, and that's going to help.
I mentioned I got one of these stand-up desks.
I think it's great.
Are these better? Worse?
Yeah, well, I think having the option, just the option is good. I mean, some days you may want to stand, some days you want to sit, but having the option to stand is critical, I think.
Do you think it's important to change back and forth? Because it seems like too much of anything is bad, right? So if you're standing at a stand-up desk all day, you can probably develop some problems with your knees, ankles, veins.
I just saw like a bicycle desk, like basically had a bicycle pedal, and your computer sets up there and you pedal all day while you work at your computer.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I've seen other ones that it's a desk that has a slow-moving treadmill underneath.
Treadmills, yeah.
So you stand at a stand-up desk with like a slow-moving treadmill. You're walking 2 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So you're burning calories to some degree while you're working.
So that's
which is pretty
taking
cool.
it to a whole different level. Yeah.
So what do you do? I mean, you have a pretty physical job. You're adjusting people, and you're I guess, how would you describe your adjusting style? I don't know what it would be called, but it seems like you're very hands-on.
Yeah, we're pretty hands-on. I mean, we have some assisted techniques that we use that have special tables or equipment, but typically we're mostly hands-on.
Which means you're moving all day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like you're moving bodies.
I don't sit down.
Is that enough exercise for you? What do you do? I mean, because you're fit. Like, what's your secret?
Well, I tell you, here recently with the gyms being closed and whatnot, I think everybody's improvising at home. So walking extra, adding some resistance with a weight vest. I know you have a weight vest also and some ankle weight. So those are good little tricks just to add a little resistance to your walk if you can't hit the weights. Push-ups with weight vest, air squats, anything.
Bands, if you can find them.
Bands, yeah, we have a pretty nice little rehab section in our office. So
I think Academy has been sold out of bands probably since March. Well, it's hard to find that stuff right now, man. I think I just spent like $85 for a kettlebell for one. But that's how much it was. I mean, supply and demand, I guess.
Yeah, take it or leave it, right?
That's my home gym at my house is a kettlebell.
Well, I just had a gentleman who actually was using 5-gallon buckets. And he was using those as
I use water jugs here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ones that go in our water cooler, they work pretty well.
Oh yeah, those are good. I have to change the water at the office. That's my job.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Everyone's had to adjust the last several months. One thing I think traditionally, I know you have seen a lot of personal injury patients, not people that have been injured at their home office setup, but people that might have been injured due to some traumatic event like a car wreck, fall somewhere. What trends have you seen there? How has that affected your practice with COVID?
With people being home, there's just less traffic right now. I mean, there's less traffic on the road, so obviously the statistics will drop as far as collisions go. But again, it's just going to switch into something different. There's always going to be something. So I think now it's more the postural stress, which has been a big problem for a long, long time. But I think now it's really hit home. Just like some of my parents are realizing, just having kids at home doing school and how maybe they didn't quite appreciate the teachers as much as they do now. So same thing.
Are you seeing more? I think they call it. I've seen articles, cell phone neck, where people text neck or something. And I can imagine, they say cell phone usage is at an all-time high because everyone's at home. And to be fair, we're kind of coming out of that a little bit. People are getting back to work. I mean, our office is open again, but it's nothing like how it was back in February. But have you been seeing more of that? And can you kind of describe what that means?
Well, we've never had a generation of people growing up with their heads slung down. And basically, that's what we have now. I mean, your kids, they're on tablets. They're, always on something that's typically going to have their head down. People work on laptops, which, without an external keyboard or mouse or some type of setup, it's going to be the same. But yeah, I mean, and haven't had a generation of kids growing up with their head, constantly down as they develop. So it's already starting to see some problems with that.
When you say problem, what does that mean? Is that permanent? Is that something you can fix or adjust? Does this affect somebody for the rest of their life? Like, how bad is this diagnosis? When someone comes in and you say, okay, you have text neck, and I'm sure there's more medical terms for that, but in colloquial terms, I guess that's what we'll call it. Is that something you could fix?
Yeah, I think we can typically make them aware of the situation and give them some, good alternatives to their setup. But over time, that really leads to degenerative breakdown that's premature, and then that can lead to irreversible damage that just, once it's done, which could lead to, more drastic medical interventions such as surgery.
So part of the solution is the more conservative treatment that you would offer, the chiropractic care.
Step one is just realizing.
Well as awareness.
Right.
And maybe don't do this all day. And are there exercises or stretches or anything that somebody should do to compensate for that in the meantime?
Yeah, I think just taking a break. I mean, I like to start with just what's quick, cheap, and easy. I mean, that's typically my my approach is what's quick, what's cheap, what's easy. Let's start there, and we build from that point. Some people want to jump into very expensive, rehab protocols or whatnot, but just take a break, get up, move around, stop, make any modifications to your work environment you can. Simple stuff.
One little trick, my dad, for years, he kind of famously kept just a standard cheap $2 egg timer on his desk and set it, I think, for every 20 or 30 minutes. And every 30 minutes, it would go off. And it just made him aware of, the fact that he was looking down for that long, and he would stand up and stretch his back and his neck and then sit back down.
That same idea has evolved into an app. Now they have an app on your phone, this little device that sticks to your back, and when it senses the change in your angle or your posture, it will vibrate or send you some type of alert, and it just kind of brings you back to the moment.
It's kind of funny sitting here talking about posture. I'm like becoming more aware of mine. Makes me feel like I need to sit up straight.
For
these chairs aren't real good for it.
For $20, you can get an exercise ball, and you can use that as your chair. That's really good.
Do you do that?
Mm-hmm. I do that when I have to sit and do paperwork. I have a big exercise ball. I sit on that. It's rounded.
It seems like it would be uncomfortable.
No, it actually forces you into good posture. I mean, you can't.
You ever fall off of that thing?
I have not, but I've come very close. That posture trainers, they're very inexpensive little straps that you can wear that will kind of give you a little nudge. And
yeah, I have one of those. Those actually work really well.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I got it from this chiropractor office down the street, Dr. Orr. So.
Yeah, $30, Amazon. I mean, come on. It's passive. You put it on, you forget about it, but it really keeps your posture up. Exercise ball, $20. So, I mean, very low tech, very, keep the expense down, keep it simple.
In a way, to me, it almost seems like you're talking about things that are common sense or perhaps should be. Are you ever surprised by the fact that you have to inform people that it's a good idea to be aware of their posture, or it's a good idea to not be looking down all day?
Well, pain is a good motivator. Most people don't get there until it hurts. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, what am I doing? So we try to get, them thinking about it before they get to that level. Classic thing we see now is people have recliners or setups and they have a TV on the wall, but the TV is offset maybe 30 degrees to the right. And they don't realize every night they sit there, they're rotating their head, neck, and, their body to watch the TV. And it's repetitive, the same direction over and over and over. And over the course of time, that really leads to imbalances and problems. And it's like, just put the TV in front or move your chair. It's very simple, But until it starts to hurt, they don't think about it.
So it kind of sounds like, you're fixing people, but you're also kind of fixing lifestyles in a way. Do you feel like you need to get in there and fix somebody's lifestyle in order to really?
Well,
you said you get results. I know you get results. Is that what it takes, though? Is those lifestyle modifications to really make that happen?
Well, I think, like I said,
what's your secret sauce, Reuben? That's what I'm trying to get to.
Well, I think we all do it. I'm guilty of it myself sometimes. Mm-hmm. But, once you've been through a few episodes and you realize the impairment that it can cause and the disability and the pain and just basically, everything kind of stops when you have some situations that we see and it's expensive, time off of work, treatment costs, things like that. So once you've been there a few times, you start to realize it's just easier just to prevent going there. It's better, it's cheaper, it's safer, and just why go there if you can prevent it? So we try to help them understand that they can prevent it most of the time.
Mm-hmm. So where our worlds oftentimes collide is in what we would call you and I both call in our practices the PI world, which is personal injury. I see a lot of people that have severe injuries. You see a lot of people that have severe injuries. A lot of those injuries occur typically either in a car wreck or some other traumatic event. What's the difference for you between treating or seeing a traumatic patient versus seeing somebody who has these repetitive injuries from lifestyle over time?
Well, I think the one thing that most of us are all exposed to regularly are car crashes because we're all in our cars a lot. And nothing will change your body faster and more instantaneously than a car crash.
Yeah, humans are not designed for that.
Right. Yeah, we don't do well in those. Yeah. And that could, as instantly you're a different
We're
person.
made of Jell-O with like sticks inside. Like we're not meant to crash into things at 60 mile an hour.
Yeah, so that instantly changes everything, and I think a lot of people have a hard time just recovering from some of those injuries. Even once the pain is subsided, there could be long-term limitations and impairment that comes with that. So that's really unfortunate because a lot of times it's just it's just sad to see people get hurt and they get better, but they're never quite right again. Never get back to be the same person they were, and that can be pretty traumatic in other ways for a lot of people.
How do you document that? So when someone comes back, so let's think of a typical case. So prior to a wreck, somebody, maybe they're 50 years old. They're not at 100% compared to where they were when they were 20, but they get around pretty good. They can play golf, whatever the case is. They get in a wreck. Someone crashes into the back of their car at a stoplight at 50 mile an hour, say. They come to you with these neck and back injuries, and you get them from where they were after the wreck back to like 75 or 80% of where they were prior, which oftentimes or in many cases is a huge improvement, but they're not quite where they were. So how do you deal with that as a doctor? How do you document that?
Well, there's always, advanced imaging things we can do to really look deep and see the type of injuries and what structure, anatomically was injured. And we know from just, years of research and whatnot, how those things will respond to the injury and how they heal. Even in optimal situations, soft tissue injuries are just, they're permanent. We used to think that they were temporary. But now we understand that really is permanent. Scar tissue, adhesions, all that stuff comes with the injury, and that's just it's a permanent injury. We try to get optimal healing to where they get back to as close to what they were as possible, and a lot of times that means pain-free, no impairment. Their range of motion, their abilities to do things are good, but really, if you get into it, they're not quite 100%. They're 99% is great. Unfortunately, some people never get back to even being pain-free, and those are really the disappointing cases that you see.
What are the typical injuries that you see after a car wreck?
Soft tissue strain, sprain. Most people will go to the ER, and the ER is the emergency.
When you say soft tissue, these are terms that you and I know. Yeah, okay, but explain what soft tissue means.
Soft tissue is basically, technically, is everything other than your bone. Organs are soft tissue, muscles, ligaments, tendons. But typically, in a trauma case, we're talking about the muscle structure, tendons, the ligaments, the cartilage, things of that nature, the nerves, the disc, and the spine, the brain. Concussion symptoms are something we see a lot of, and the brain is soft tissue.
When someone comes to you, oftentimes it's after they've been to the hospital, after they've been to the ER, and then they come in. What are some typical undiagnosed injuries that you might see because someone might say, well, I went to the hospital and they said, I should just wait a few months and then we'll see,
Well, the emergency room, I think, is emergency. I mean, if there's no life-threatening injuries, then technically you're not an emergency. I mean, you may have some injuries, but they're going to basically just check you over. If you're not going to die that night, then they're going to send you home with some short-term medication and instruct you to follow up somewhere else, which is pretty standard, and that's what we see typically. But I think there's a miscommunication. Patients go home and think, okay, well, I'm fine, I'm okay. But then, they're sitting there week by week and they're wondering, okay, well, if I'm okay, why am I feeling like this? I have my headaches, I can't turn my head, my neck hurts, I got tingling in my arm, like something's not right. And I think at that point they will initiate, reaching out to someone and saying, okay, something's not right. And that's when we get them. How
does someone typically find you? Where do most of your patients come from?
I think typically for us, just word of mouth.
Yeah.
Internal referrals. I mean, somebody at their church or at their work or the family member will say, hey,
you really need to go see this guy.
Yeah, just get checked out. And I encourage everyone to get checked out, even if they think it's minimal and it's not if they think they can just ride it out. A lot of times things will get better on their own and there's not a lot of intervention that's absolutely necessary. But we see a lot of that later, 6 months later, when it didn't go well and now it's a chronic issue. And we definitely hate to see that.
You mentioned earlier that right at the beginning, I said, what do you attribute that to? You said results. And I think that's pretty critical. And I think the other thing with referrals, you don't really get referrals unless there's a level of trust there. And I think one thing that I see that kind of is somewhat unique to what your practice is and the way you do business is, you get results with the people you can, but you're also not afraid to say, hey, listen, you need to go see this person. This is something that are the tools in our toolbox are just not for. And rather than waste that person's time, you might say, go see this doctor, or go see this surgeon, or this is what you really need. And you're not afraid to send someone off somewhere. What are some of the cases where you might have to do that? What do you see where you might have to say, well, you need to go see a neurologist?
Yeah, well, I'm a big proponent of building a team around the patient. I mean, there's people who do different things, and a lot of times they're going to need more than just me. You know, they're going to need some medication. They may need an injection. They may need some advanced imaging or a nerve study. They need chiropractic physical therapy. So, we try to build a network of people around them to get them everything they need to have the optimal chance of recovery at the highest level. I'll do my part, and then we get them to other people, and we all, play our part on the team, and the goal is that the patient, has the best possible outcome.
I think that's pretty cool. I think the result of that is not just good results and medical outcomes, but also that trust that you establish with the patient, and also the level of trust that you establish with the whole team, with those other doctors who might say, hey, listen, you're right, this is something that we need to treat. But then the next person that comes along, they may say, well, this isn't necessarily something that you need surgery for, but go see Dr. Orr.
Yeah.
Do you ever get referrals from that team of doctors?
Yeah, we do. We get a lot of referrals from sources that are basically they're non-surgical, or they've exhausted their medical options, and chiropractic is the one thing they haven't tried, and it's and I enjoy those because I take that as a challenge. Like, okay, well, if nothing else could be, nothing else has helped, maybe we can.
Yeah, I think you have to enjoy it to some level to do it for 21 years, right? Otherwise, at one point, you might say, you know what, I've done this for 10. That's enough for me.
Well, it's really neat to see people get better. I mean, because lives are really, they're put on hold, man. They can't function as a parent, can't function as a wife or a husband or a spouse. They can't do things they need to do, and to see people recover from that and get back to what they want to do and who they need to be. And we had a little part of that. It's really rewarding.
So it seems to me that a lot of people that are in the business of helping people, you're in the business of helping people. You help people get better. We're in the business of helping people. We help them kind of get back on with their lives. And part of that is the medical. Part of it is the legal. What I see is a lot of people that are in that business, a lot of times they have a story. Like there was a thing, or there was an event. There was something that triggered that interest or that passion. Mm-hmm. Do you have that in your background? Was there something that happened to young pre-doctor Reuben Orr that kind of made you say, this is something that I want to do?
Well, I come from a family of caregivers. My mother's a nurse. My sister's a nurse. So I think growing up, that's just what we did. We took care of people. But chiropractic was interesting to me because I seen it help my mother with something that traditional approach she had taken failed. And I was just curious on why this worked and that didn't. So, and the more I learned about it, the more it made sense. So,
I think a lot of people, to some degree, chiropractic medicine is almost like, we'll say it's misunderstood to some degree. Can you talk a little bit about the education required? I mean, how's one become a chiropractor?
Well, there's a lot of misinformation and bad information about what we do. And a lot of people have negative thoughts sometimes. They've never been to a chiropractor, never had any, real interaction. But chiropractic has been around for a long time, since 1895. It's, we're worldwide.
And some may say even before then, right?
Right.
I mean, there's parts of it that are somewhat kind of maybe ancient. And a lot of it is just wellness in general, I would think. Am I wrong? Or
No, yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of aspects to what we do other than just the adjusting of the spine. But we try to, educate people and help them with their diet, their stress management, things like that, because all that is really critical to how they function as a whole. And, as we know, it's just everything's connected, man. So.
So you said it's been back to like 1895. What's your education like? So you actually, you have to have a regular bachelor's degree, right?
Program is actually about 4.5 years. Most people enter that with an undergraduate degree. So yeah, I think I was in.
So
for 9
four
years,
and a
yeah.
half years on top of your regular undergraduate degree.
Yes.
So you have to you first have to go get a degree in. Does it matter? You have to have a degree in something.
Yeah, something.
I mean, does it have to? Do chiropractic schools require you to have a degree in like biology, or is it just having a good enough education in something where you can go in and enter and pass the exams required to get in?
A lot of the prerequisites and stuff out for the sciences and chemistries and stuff like that. So
okay,
but you have to meet certain prerequisites.
So what was your degree in?
Biology.
Biology. Okay, so first you get a biology degree. Did you take time off in between undergrad and chiropractic?
No.
So when you were in undergrad, you knew you wanted to be a chiropractor.
Yeah, day one.
Okay, so that's why you went the biology route.
Mm-hmm.
So after the 4 years where'd you go to undergrad?
East Carolina.
East Carolina. So after 4 years at ECU, you go right into chiropractic school at
Life University in Marietta, Georgia.
Oh, that's right. Actually, that's where my sister went.
Yeah.
At
the time, it was the largest chiropractic school in the world. So
has that been surpassed?
Good question. I don't know, but we had a very big clinic. Yeah, it was pretty big time when I was there. And plus, Atlanta at the time, we had the Braves in the World Series. We had the Falcons in the Super Bowl. We had the Summer Olympics there. So it was a great time to be in that area. Yeah,
there's a lot going on in Atlanta.
Right. Yeah.
I wonder if it was hard to concentrate on school with all that going on.
No, you didn't have much.
It didn't give you up an option, did they?
No.
So yeah, after that, did you come straight to Rock Hill after that?
I came straight to Rock Hill. I did.
What was your?
Well, I have family.
What was your introduction to Rock Hill? Why Rock Hill?
I was just driving through.
Really?
Yeah, I was with some family up at Lake Wylie in North Carolina, and just finished some national boards. It was taking a little break, and was just kind of scoping the area out, kind of see if I want to stay in Charlotte or North South Carolina, and just drove through and bumped into Dr. Beaver, and he needed someone to cover for a few weeks, and I'm still here.
Who is Dr. Beaver?
Yeah,
because your sign says Beaver Chiropractic.
Right, yeah.
It does not say Dr. Orr.
Yeah, I think Dr. Beaver has been here since the early 80s. He was here.
He's also a legend around these parts for sure.
Yeah. So when I took up the practice in 2005, I just left everything. I mean, the name has been there. It's such goodwill in the community with that name that I just left it because everybody knows who we are and what we do. So no need to cause any confusion.
So you came on board working with him, and he kind of eased into retirement.
Yeah, no one really knew who I was, but everybody knew the place and where we were. So,
well, now they do.
Now they do.
Now they do for sure. Yeah. Now they know you, and it's almost kind of reversed where they're like, oh, go see Dr. Orr, and they're like, why does his sign say Beaver?
Right. He's an animal lover.
Yeah, he's an animal lover. People and animals. Well, what else is going on, man? So where's the future of chiropractic and wellness going? Like, what do you see over the next 10 or 20 years?
I think a lot of things are changing. With the opioid crisis and people shying away from prescriptions first. I think we got a good opportunity to step up and lead that charge into, hey, let's don't go there first. That maybe something like chiropractic can help first, and then medications as needed second, and then obviously surgeries as a last resort. But
is there an increased interest in chiropractic from the wellness and prevention standpoint?
I think so. I mean, this kind of been our thing the whole time, and it's
your time to shine.
Yeah, we see people making recommendations about like, oh, maybe we should do it this way. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, man, we've been doing that. We've been doing it this way forever.
And I think honestly, what you hear is always kind of negative in the news, where you hear people talk about the obesity crisis in America and the health crisis. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just kind of the people that I see or I'm around, but there seems to also be an increasing current of people who are very aware of their health and very aware of their diet, and shop for supplements and shop for healthy food and go to the gym and go to chiropractors.
Young people are smart. I think they see their grandparents and their parents and maybe some of the things they've had to deal with, and they just realize, we don't have to do that. We can do it a different way. And so I think kids are smart, and the internet and information is out there that maybe our parents didn't have access to. Our grandparents definitely did, and things are different now. So I think the access is there. And
so where does chiropractic fit into that healthier lifestyle?
Maintenance of the frame, man. You You can eat right, you can sleep and bring your stress down, but you got to keep your alignment. And you got to keep your spine functioning properly. I mean, the spine is the lifeline. Everything comes out the brain, down the spinal cord, out the nerves.
And man, it can be debilitating when that's not working properly.
Yes. Well, anyone who's never experienced a real episode of acute low back pain, they don't understand quite how basically it just takes over. I mean,
and I'll tell you, that's my worst fear is having some problem like that where I can't go run around and play flag football or, just I can't go play soccer with my girls. You know what I mean?
Getting up to go to the bathroom in the night is like a major ordeal. So just the basic functions of life are exponentially harder. And I think the people who've been there a few times, most of my patients who've had a few episodes, they're really on top of maintenance and trying to keep things good.
Yeah, and I had an episode, or at least I thought it was an episode. Thankfully, it wasn't anything serious, but somehow I popped a rib in my sleep, and I didn't even know that was a thing. And I thought, oh my God, this is it. I blew a disc out because it was pretty painful where I could barely sit or stand.
A knife in your back.
Yeah, I mean, it really felt like that, and it was kind of right on my spine, so I thought for sure, oh, this is a disc that herniated or something. And so I remember coming into your office and saying, I think this is it. Like, what do we do here? Does this mean
over?
It's over? Does this mean I just have to live with this now? And thankfully, you kind of just went, oh, nope, it's a rib, popped it back in, and it was fine. But that fear and that pain was real for at least a couple of days. Man, I can't imagine having to deal with that for years over the rest of your life. I mean, that's a sentence.
I mean, there's certain innate reflexes that just take over, and there's just no. It's completely out of your control. And a lot of people come in sometimes, and they think they could push through the pain. And it's like, well, you could push through the pain, but at a certain point, your body would just take you out of the equation and take over. And if they've never experienced that, they don't quite understand what that means. But you get a few guys who've been there, and they go, oh yeah,
the body's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It is extremely amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of on the tip of the spear there. You see people healing injuries and the way their bodies compensate to injuries. You see how diet affects people. You see how exercise affects people. I mean, you really get the whole picture with what you do.
Yeah, it's an ever-changing thing, man. There's always something new on the horizon, so we try to stay abreast of the latest.
So what should I be taking? What supplement should I be taking? I keep hearing I need to take more vitamin. I need more vitamin D. What do you think? Vitamin D for COVID and vitamin C for COVID. People say, boost your immune system.
Well,
you following all that? What do you think?
Yeah, the immune system's also a big topic, because you want to immune. And if people really understood how many viruses and bacteria and fungi and stuff that we're in contact with constantly, that's just natural, But keep your immune system up to speed, man. That's critical. And that's what your body has, its own defense mechanisms, and as long as you're healthy and strong, you can weather those things. But obviously, you see the COVID-19 has really hit hard on older people with weaker systems, and that's I think with just about every type of illness or.
So what are you doing? What are you taking or doing to kind of help boost your system? Are you taking extra vitamins? Are you drinking more juice? Like, what are you doing?
Trying to get more sleep. Mm-hmm. Sleep is critical.
I think that's a good point, man. It's so underrated.
Yeah. It really is. I mean, stay up late, working on things, and you try to get your brain to shut down and get good sleep, and all of a sudden it's sun's up, time to get up and go again. And I think sleep is something that a lot of people have problems with or difficulty with, and that's critical to your overall health and immunity.
Yeah.
Nutrition, obviously, we eat a very toxic menu these days. If you ever read the labels,
stay away from the fast food and processed food, and
yeah, I mean it's everywhere. But sometimes you gotta do what you got to do, but I think in general, just common sense stuff.
Yeah, sometimes it's the end of the day, and it's like 3:00. I'm like, well, I forgot to eat today. Like I haven't eaten yet today. Yeah. And now that's a thing. Now people try to do that, and they call it intermittent fasting. Yeah. Like for me, for me, it's called being busy. Like, wait a minute, I forgot to eat today, but then at 3 or 4 o'clock, I'm so hungry. I'm like, okay, I just need a pizza, and I'll order a pizza and just say put all the meat on it, put all the vegetables on it. Like, yeah, I'm just trying to catch up on calories at that point, and I just eat as much as I possibly can because my body just needs calories. I'm sure that's probably the least healthy way to eat, but it's funny because that's kind of just always been the way I eat. Like maybe not necessarily pizza, but
I think when you're
now it's a thing. Now people say it's intermittent fasting.
When you're young and healthy, man, you can get away with things like that. But I think as we get older, our body loses that resilience and that ability to offset some of our bad habits, and it really starts to you just don't jump out of bed as quick as you used to. And eating stuff like that, you really feel the drain and the anchor tied around you sometimes.
Yeah. I can tell you personally, it's not. I don't feel good after I eat like that. But like I said, I mean, by the end of the day, I'd realize I haven't eaten. I just need to get some calories in me. And sometimes that means I have 20 minutes in between meetings or appointments. And how many calories can you eat in those 20 minutes? Because you may not eat again until 9, 10 o'clock at night. And that's kind of just the way it is.
Yeah. And, work from home, a lot of people are so much closer to the refrigerator now, It's like,
so the
a lot of
opposite
people
problem.
put on some pounds, yes, because they can
Those
just
COVID
get up
pounds.
yeah, that's the true thing.
Well, I don't want to keep you too long, but I really appreciate you coming in, having the chance to sit down with us. And there's a lot of things that I would like to kind of talk about more, explore with you in the future. So if there's a chance where you can come back by and talk to us, that'd be awesome. Always welcome. The Dr. Orr, thank you for coming by today, man.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton.
Thank you for listening to the Schiller and Hamilton podcast. We'll see you again soon.